And going back to Lewis and Tolkien, just a small story from their life. Like, they were British men. They did not talk about their feelings, right? This was kind of a debt they were kicking down the road until the bill came due in their relationship. Like, for instance, it took Tolkien 17 years to write Lord of the Rings. Basically, he wrote one single story his whole life that involves The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Silmarillion, which was never published in his life. Lewis wrote all 7 Narnia books in 7 years. Lewis would basically, on the first draft, write something that would become a bestseller. He became literally Lewis became literally a hero of Britain in the war, doing these radio talks, trying to talk about God and what eventually became Mere Christianity, right? So Tolkien was like one of those friends that's like, you know, good job you, but also like, man, what are you doing? He did, as a Catholic, he thought it was crazy that Lewis could just write a book of theology without going to seminary. He thought that was wildly irresponsible. Like, Lewis dedicated Screwtape Letters to Tolkien. He never understood why. He thought that book was super weird and was speculative. And, you know, he hated Father Christmas in Narnia, right? Look, Tolkien hated Narnia. But what I tell people is Tolkien hated everything. So it doesn't matter that he hated Narnia. This was just his like mindset on the world. Okay, that was all preamble to say, when Lewis fell in love with Joy Davidman, Lewis knew deep down Tolkien was skeptical about the things he had been doing. He was skeptical about his theological positions that he took in miracles. He was skeptical about the idea that someone could remarry a woman who was divorced, even a woman who had been divorced from an abusive husband. And so Lewis, not wanting to hurt him or to bring something up that would be uncomfortable, just didn't tell him, right? And probably was like, this will work itself out. Well, he got married, and Tolkien found out from a friend that Lewis had gotten married. This broke Tolkien's heart, right? Like, not just that you married a woman who's divorced, but that you didn't tell me, right? That was the big breach of honesty between them that I think really sent them down the path where they could never have the same fellowship that they did before that moment. And all of that, I think, was an accumulation of, you know, you kind of, some of your friends, you have like friends, and then you have like some that are like frenemy friends. You know, you're like, yeah, we hang out, but like sometimes I just wish they wouldn't do so well at everything. And I think actually Tolkien kind of transitioned into that a little bit, and the bitterness and the jealousy of that kind of got the better of him. But yeah, I mean, in some ways, it can be a sad story if you read it that way. In my book, I give them a chance to maybe say the truth that they believed, and that is that this is not our home. And I think that's really good to remember. The new earth, that is the wildest thing the Bible has ever come up with. And we have to remember that every day. And Tolkien had this word for what he loved about stories. Don't worry, I've got only 30 minutes more on this topic. He called it the eucatastrophe. He said all good stories have it, and it's basically the anti-catastrophe. And in fact, one of the criticisms of Lord of the Rings, if you've read it, is that they're all over the place. Like, Gandalf comes on the 3rd day at Helm's Deep, the eagles come to save Sam and Frodo. It's the idea that when things are at their darkest and there is no hope left, something happens and hope is back. And of course, Tolkien was obsessed about this because to him, the j.r.r. text of the eucatastrophe was Easter. And so I could not tell a myth about Lewis and Tolkien's friendship without a eucatastrophe. So I'm just going to say you'll have to read the book.